Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video here on the markets. Wanted to do a quick update here on the markets. We have continued to drop down. I was live streaming the New York Open, of course, this afternoon. If you were there, then hello again. And during that session, we already saw that today was not like last week. All right, and that's what I wanted to talk about in this video as well. We'll zoom into Bitcoin. We'll talk about some altcoins. We'll talk about XRP. We'll talk about Ethereum and maybe also Solana, but we'll see. But the main thing I wanted to focus on is Bitcoin, and also to compare the differences of Bitcoin today and last week. Last week was obviously great, but what we saw last week was a mix of three things, right? It was bullish US equities, which at this point of time, unfortunately, at least until now, has not been the case. The S&P 500 is actually pulling back slightly. The second thing we had last week was volume. If you compare the volume right here, you can see that right here to the volume we had last week, that's obviously also lacking. It's not as high, right? The volume is pretty decent. I mean, if you compare the volume right now to the volume over the last 2 months, it's decent, almost $30 billion. So it's not the end of the world. And then outside of that, also a Coinbase Bitcoin premium. And what you can see right here is that we actually still do have that, but it's slightly decreasing, especially since about 1.5 hours ago. So that is essentially what is different right now. And then outside of that, technically, Bitcoin is also challenging key support. All right, so yeah, that's what we'll talk about. But I think that's essentially what you need to know regarding the markets. As far as I know, there's no major news that you need to know about. In the XRP and the Ripple video, of course, we already talked about the XRP ETF news and everything that entails. You do see that there's some more risk getting into the markets. Gold, for example, is going up, while the volatility index is also going up. So that means that there's some more instability in the markets, which is obviously not great for equities, and therefore it's also not great for Bitcoin, especially if there's no independent bidding coming in like we had last week. And last week that was multiple actors. We know that Michael Saylor bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. So if that happens, then Bitcoin is starting to pull back. Now, talking about Bitcoin here specifically, do I necessarily think that it's over, and do I think we're going to pull back lower? No. In the live stream, I also said the main level that we need to hold is 94,000 and 93,600. 93,600 is the POC. That's the point of control. That's where most of the volume, most of the liquidity is situated. So what sometimes happens when you have a price action is that you have a balance, right? So right here, and then you have a point of control in the middle. Price breaks out of that balance like we did last week. And what happens sometimes is that the price dips back down into the POC and then rallies again, right? So as long, like we have already broken down below 94,000 right now. So that's a bearish confirmation already. But as long as we're holding the POC, which, to be completely fair with you, we're not really gaining much strength from there right now. So that's, well, not worrying me. But that's a bit of a bearish confirmation. But as long as we have not broken below that, I would argue, at least on the 1 hour time frame, there is still a chance that this is a bit of a bear trap, and that we are able to reclaim 94,000, and that we're able to reclaim all the way back into 96,000. So for now, that's still on the table. But like I said, given those changes today compared to last week, in combination of already breaking down below 94,000, in combination with not gaining much strength from 93,600, I'm slightly leaning towards saying that this is a real bearish breakdown, and that we will at least visit the value area low of this same value area here towards 92,800. And I don't want to be too much forward looking in how far we can drop, but it should speak for itself. That if we do not see this strength that we had last week again tomorrow, and we're not able to reclaim today, then we can easily also start to drop down into the low 90s and lower as well. All right, so be aware of that, and make sure that your positioning is at least taking that into account. Now, talking about some major altcoins right here. XRP is doing something relatively similar. It's testing support right here. We've broken down below 2.3. So same thing, unless XRP is able to reclaim 2.3 quite easily right here, I'd say it's most likely that we will pull back into 2.17, regardless of the news we had. I spoke about that earlier today Of course, I think the XRP futures ETF is bullish, but will it have that much effect short term? I doubt it. And then some other coins. Ethereum right here is still holding support at 1760, 1750. We need to hold that, all right? If Ethereum is unable to hold that or unable to reclaim that very, very quickly after not holding it, it's also going to drop down into, well, Ethereum can actually drop down lower quicker than Bitcoin. So be aware of that, right? I mean, most of these coins are actually in very, very similar situation, especially most of the bigger coins right here. I'd say Solana is in a very similar situation, but then with the support level around 144. And if we drop down below that, I think shorting might be a little bit early, but I will personally have a bearish bias. Now, and when we're talking about some altcoins that actually do have momentum, there's not much out there. All right, there's some kind of manipulated coins such as MemeFi, Deep, and some AI agents that are still doing a lot. But most other altcoins right here are at crucial support. So like I said, as long as Bitcoin is holding the POC at 93,600, we still have a chance to reclaim. But if we do not reclaim within the next 24 hours and we do not see new strength coming in like we saw last week during the New York opening tomorrow, it could be a very bearish end of April. All right, so be aware of that. Those are my thoughts for now. Hopefully we will be able to reclaim 94,000 here, but I'll keep my eyes on it. I will keep you updated on that as much as I can. For now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.